So in today's video, we're talking about Saquon Barkley, running back for the New York Giants, and his strength and conditioning coach currently, Ryan Flaherty, and just some of their programming. FYI, guys, there isn't a program in front of me that he's written for Saquon that he's following right now. I'm just kind of taking some clips that are pretty popular on YouTube and Instagram, and we're just doing a quick review out of context. So don't be too haty. So it says here he's ran a 4.28 before. I don't know if that's necessarily true. The guy weighs 230 pounds. It's massive. If it is, that's terrifying. At the combine, he ran a 4.4, and he talks about how he's able to bench about 450 pounds, which I do believe, because he did hit in the combine about 30 reps on the bench press. 40 yards was a 440, and he has a 41-inch vertical jump. So that's incredible, again, talking about how tall he is. I mean, how heavy he is, that is. Over here, he's talking about how he's squatted up to 700 pounds. 650 to 700, that's about 7 plates, right? I don't know if that's necessarily true, just looking at some of his numbers on the box squat that he does. He's doing 5 plates for sets of 6. They look pretty easy, so he might be able to go a little bit heavier, but it's not like a real powerlifting like squat that would be competition counted. However, I'm sure he's up there for sure. And then he even talks about how he's cleaned 400 pounds, and that's a power clean too, so he's caught it above 90 degrees. That's insane. But the weird thing is his coach kind of discredits the Olympic lifts later on in another article that I read, which is weird. So as you can see here, he's squatting 5 plates. And he was talking about how squats are what built up his quads, but as you can see, he's squatting with his hips way back. He's sitting onto a box, kind of like a West Side barbell squat. This is going to build your hips and posterior chain a lot more than an actual front squat, for example, or an actual squat without a box to sit onto, or a bench in his case. So this is his coach, John Flaherty. As you can see here, he's basically the mastermind of the last few years, and I think of his recovery after he injured his ankle in that one game. He talks here a lot about how with just one exercise, he can work 90% of the skeletal muscles you need, and he talks about how he can add 15 pounds of muscle to your lower body through single leg body weight exercises, and how all these other lifts can make you strong. So what's the point of even doing a snatch? Now, I'm not necessarily saying, athletes should be doing snatches because they're the best for them. It's not sports specific, but a lot of the stuff that he does here isn't sports specific necessarily, and he still has them in his program. Olympic lifts obviously have a great amount of benefit, not just because of the power that you can create, but also because of catching the weight. It's very athletic in general, and it teaches you to absorb force and then redirect it, right? So he talks here about the 3.2 ratio, and this lift I think he's talking about here, guys, is the hex bar deadlift, which is a really good movement. It's a movement that kind of mimics the starting position of a clean or a snatch. I mean, your hips are a lot lower than they normally would be for a deadlift, just because of how the bar is situated. And he's talking about how a 3.2 strength to weight ratio. So I think he's talking about if you weigh 100 pounds, you should be able to trap bar deadlift 320 pounds, and that is going to let me run a 4.5 for 40 seconds. So Saquon might actually know something here that his coach doesn't, because obviously he's doing, or his previous coaches at Penn State knew, because he was doing the Olympic lifts, which train a totally different strength attribute, right? So they're training you more in speed strength, which is going to correlate more to absolute speed, versus just training for strength. I'm sure you guys have seen powerlifters who are insanely strong, who can squat and deadlift 3 times body weight. But if you kind of ask them to jump, they can't produce that force quick enough to jump very high, and jumping and sprinting are correlated. So that right there kind of tells me it's just kind of weird that he would say that. He still involves a lot of speed work, and he probably just said that because he works with athletes who are already known to do too much speed work and a lot of sprint stuff and a lot of jump stuff. So strength there would definitely help them. And then there's a video of our boy Saquon doing a little bit of contrast training. He's going from a trap bar jump, which Flaherty loves to use apparently, from what I've researched, and then he's going right into a big box jump. So in that case, I mean, obviously, just reading a Men's Health magazine like I did that had his interview in it doesn't say the whole story, because the writers probably left out stuff. Flaherty is clearly a great coach. He's doing a ton of upper back, rear delt work here for these guys. As you can see, a lot of stability stuff for the rotator cuff. Tons of really good stuff, going from external to internal rotation with this drill right here off the stability ball. Really good coach. Definitely knows what he's doing. This drill's kind of weird. He's got them on top of an exercise ball. I don't know if he even programmed this, or he just he had a big group of guys and he wanted to do something different for Instagram. This exercise is fantastic, the Nordic hamstring curl. And just like Tyreek Hill, Saquon's able to bang out a ton of these. And I mean, his hips aren't fully extended, whatever. I mean, like, everyone who's going to chirp that and say that's not pure hamstrings, you kind of fuck off. I mean, it's a very hard exercise that he's doing. Again, with the Bosu ball and exercise ball type stuff. I mean, especially for like single leg stability, this can help, but just doing the same exercise while on the floor is going to work a ton of stability. He's doing anti-rotation here because he's resisting the ball, and then he's reversing that and throwing it back. Again, single leg work with that trap bar. He really loves the trap bar, and I think it is a great, really, really great piece of equipment for all athletes. Yeah, amazing. It's so much more comfortable for them to use. Larger range of motion for the most part. If you do use it the right way, not using the high setting of it, you flip it over to the low bar setting. Little bit of jump complexes here. This single arm pressing movement I don't really love. I mean, it's not really anti-rotation because he's kind of using the other dumbbell to secure himself onto the bench better. Here's when he injured himself. This was the high ankle injury he had. This was not very good, but as you can see, his coach was right on top of it, and he is really smart, saying that the muscles and the tendons and ligaments, obviously, they respond to load. So he's not one of those guys who's going to just have Saquon, mess around and put a boot on for the rest of the next 16 weeks. He had him working on it right away, putting new blood into that area and stimulating the tendons. Obviously, as, inflammation allows for it, because, I mean, if he's in pain, then he's not going to be going, he's not going to be doing those 600-pound squats and stuff. But he has him doing some single leg stuff and a lot of different, just light loading exercises. Probably at the beginning, he was working with the physio too, with the bands and stuff. This video is pretty insane. Again, lots of box squat type stuff. And then this guy, Nick Sharga or something, they trained together, I guess, for the last season at Penn State together. And that kid's a monster. He had like 5 plates on there with purple bands. And he was burying that squat. This is probably the most famous Saquon Barkley squat video. This is him taking 5 plates for 7 reps with his coach. And I mean, back here, he was obviously more emphasizing the quads. And I think ever since he switched over with Flaherty, he's gone more into box squatting, which makes sense. It's safer on his knees too. And I mean, you kind of do need more hips and glutes if you want to be even more explosive and strong. So he's doing the right thing. Switching him over to box squats, it is safer on the patellar tendon and stuff too. You're not using that as much. This power clean is ridiculous, 405. And he, like I said, this guy weighs about 105 kilos or 230 pounds. So if you take that into consideration, like a 405 clean, if you look at some of the best like 109 kilo weightlifters right now in Olympic lifting, they might only be doing another 20 kilo. Like, I don't even know a lot of guys who can, at the Olympic level, doing, 200 kilo power cleans at 109. There's you'd definitely be upper echelon. So imagine if Saquon actually just trained for Olympic. Like, why would he though, right? It's a stupid sport versus football where you make all this money. But it's just wild to see how close he is to these guys, and he doesn't even do that sport. And then this is that 29 reps in the bench press. You kind of see, this is probably why they always have him doing some kind of like a stability exercise, like with the bands and like a bottoms up kettlebell, because his right shoulder is just kind of weird. It doesn't retract as well, but he's extremely fast, absolute monster of an athlete. His coach definitely knows what he's doing. Great coaching. His coaches from before too definitely knew what they're doing. They produced an absolute beast of an athlete. Anyways, guys, if you want more content like this, let me know about an athlete that you want me to do a quick review on. I can pull up some clips of them lifting, and I can do a little bit of an analysis and try and find out who their coaches are too. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Until next time, peace.